time for round 1. We are going to be playing first, and this is a sweet hand. Not against the hyper-aggressive decks of the format, but perfect mana and the Opaline Unicorn to accelerate out whatever we draw is also nice. Even if we don't do anything on turn 2, oh, we are going to do something on turn 2, so now it's even better. We might still want to play the Opaline Unicorn to make sure that we have Sip of Hemlock available on turn 5. But our opponent is also up to nothing too spectacular over there. The Sedge Scorpion is one of the best cards for us to see because it's just very easy to ignore. Let's see what we can find here. We can already put every land on the bottom because we don't need any more. And we see two very sweet cards, Rip of Erebos, giving our creatures lifelink, and then we can reuse them once from the graveyard. Nimbus Naiad just being a solid card. I'm just going to keep both of these. And now what we could do is attack with the Phalanx, but it trades for Sedge Scorpion. That doesn't make a lot of sense. And Baleful Eidolon is probably better served as a bestow creature on how this board looks. Let's see, if we put Nimbus Naiad on Baleful Eidolon, we have a 3/3 Death Toucher. But we could also just put the Nimbus Naiad on Opaline Unicorn. Yeah, I like that better. The only thing that we can't cast if we lose the Unicorn is Shipbreaker Kraken, but then we can still draw an island at some point in the game. Grey Merchant of Asphodel. So the Grey Merchant is best played later when we have a higher amount of black cards in play. And now we might run the Opaline Unicorn into a Divine Verdict, but that's actually a pretty good trade because Opaline Unicorn is getting worse and worse. And this way we start to deal the first damage here. Let's see what our opponent is up to. We can still play the Baleful Eidolon, although at the current stage there isn't much for it to do. And of course we want to have the whip in play at some point. Daxos of Meletis, so can't be blocked by creatures with power 3 or greater, and then yeah, basically opponent can cast the cards that he finds on the top of our library, which is quite the powerful effect. Nessian Asp. So Nessian Asp, another creature that can't block Daxos of Meletis. We could play Baleful Eidolon just as a blocker for Daxos, but that leaves us unable to play the whip, at least not if we want to attack. We could also just drop the Grey Merchant, which is a good blocker for Daxos. It would drain for 3 at this stage, and then we can buy it back later. I'm kind of scared of this hitting something amazing and then we just lose to our own Shipbreaker Kraken. I don't want to Sip of Hemlock though, because Opaline Unicorn is able to attack for 3, which I don't want to give up at this stage. Okay, so the best blocker is definitely Grey Merchant, and then if the Grey Merchant dies to a trick, I think we are still pretty far ahead. And we have our opponent down to 11 already. It's always nice to be ahead in the race, despite playing a control deck. It's possible that our opponent is going to invest quite a lot of things into his Daxos to get it through. Then we can still Sip of Hemlock it. Okay, it doesn't look like that's the case. Which is even better, of course. Horizon Scholar. just going to keep attacking. The bestowed unicorn is our best bet to just win this game. Nessianasp is trades unfavorable with Sedge Scorpion, but it's a huge creature to have. If we draw land, we can always drop Horizon Scholar, but I think it's more effective to get hits in with the unicorn. The deck that our opponent is playing doesn't look awful, but it doesn't have a clear direction, and the 3 comments we see are also not the best you could think of. So kind of questionable what our opponent is up to here. We can put Baleful Eidolon on Opaline Unicorn to threaten a 2-turn clock, but we are almost guaranteed to win if we get our opponent down to 2 because of Sip of Hemlock. So I'm just going to run out the Reaper of the Wilds. And now it would be nice to trade Nessianasp for one of his creatures so that we get to scry. But Benthic Giant could just block. Okay. Looks like opponent passed the Reaper of the Wilds. And now if a creature dies, we get to scry, so then we could put the 6th land on top, hopefully, allowing us to cast Sip of Hemlock. Yeah, we just had a much higher power level than what our opponent is doing. And even though he's white and blue, our single flying creature did the work. Okay, Guardians of Meletis is nice against Daxos, but don't know if we need that. Gainsay is only so, not a card that we really need. I think we are playing a very nice main deck, and we might not have to change anything. We've seen that having these 3/6 drops is a lot. We had 2 of them in our hand already, but I'm kind of happy to have them because flooding is a danger. That's always there. Let's see, Wavecrash Triton. Yeah, all these cheap blockers are kind of nice because we know that Daxos is handled by them. So I think I just like it like this. Okay, opponent choosing to play first, and we have a Burnished Heart, which is why I'm going to keep this hand. We can also naturally draw Traveler's Amulet or an island. But this game, sacrificing Burnished Heart for 2 basic lands might be very, very good. It's interesting that the Sedge Scorpion is never attacking once we drop the Return Phalanx. I think it's probably a mistake. Could play Opaline Unicorn here, but I think getting the Burnished Heart out there is better. It can block, and then we can still sacrifice, so most 4-drops are already dealt with. So even if we don't draw a land, then we can still sacrifice the Burnished Heart during our opponent's turn. Drawing a land here is also really nice. And I just realized that we can whip back the Burnished Heart and use it again, so that's pretty good value. But we are just going to ramp into a card like Horizon Scholar and then see what happens. Oh, our opponent does have a play here. Sealock Monster, so getting an island now is kind of a bad idea, but not getting it is also not the best thing. Let's see, we could of course just get a swamp and a forest, but that wouldn't allow us to cast all spells, so it doesn't really seem all that great. If we get an island though, the Sealock Monster is just going to attack every turn from then on. We need the lands to get going, but I don't want to get attacked. Because we have the whip, it's actually possible that we can pull this off with the Burnished Heart. I'm just going to try it. So I'm gonna wait on the islands and just get some other lands instead. Do we need another swamp? Well, it's quite unlikely that we need another forest, so just gonna overload on swamps here. And that's a Traveler's Amulet. So now we have 6 mana. We can play Opal and Unicorn, but then we don't get to play the whip. We can, if we play the Unicorn, then we could also search for a land. I kind of want to whip back the Burnished Heart, that's the whole idea, so going to get a forest here. But then I'm going to drop the Unicorn. It's a great way to cast the blue spells without having an island in play. So if we can drop Horizon Scholar on this board, I'm very happy to do so. Okay, nothing. 3 for Read the Bone. So if we draw into a land, we can cast the Horizon Scholar anyway. With the main problem being that if it's an island, that we don't really want to cast it, that we don't really want to play it. Let's see. It's still really sweet to Read the Bones first. This board is still even, and who knows what our opponent is up to. If he has a counter spell, I don't really want the Horizon Scholar to get countered. Okay, there's the island that we didn't want to draw. So now we probably put the island on the bottom because we don't want it at this stage. But we can drop the Shipwreck Singer despite having some trouble with the blue lands. Let's see. We could also keep the island and just play it, but that seems super bad against Sealock Monster. No, I'm going to stick to the plan of not wanting the island. But Shipwreck Singer is quite nice against Sedge Scorpion and okay against Sealock Monster. Not amazing though. I won't be able to activate this ability, so the Sedge Scorpion isn't going to attack, which means that Shipwreck Singer is only going to be better at a very much later stage. I'm going to put that on the bottom because of the high mana cost. Now we are going to just develop our board a little bit more. The Harpy being really nice to start getting in some damage, and Lifelink is amazing as well. My thinking is that opponent is on white spells maybe, or just has a weird hand. Sealock Monster needs one more land to become an 8/8, and then we need to start finding some solutions. But River of Erebos combined with Burnished Heart should be pretty amazing. Coastline Chimera. Alright. This means that the Harpy is only gaining 2 life, which is kind of sad, but alright. Still going to attack with it. If your opponent has a trick, there's worse things that could happen. Okay, this just gained us 2 life. If the Coastline Chimera attacks, then we take 1, but then the coast is clear again. So we are on 8 mana with the Whip as our main concern. And then we have Nimbus Naya, which we could just play as a 2/2 flyer, but that isn't going to do anything. So the question is if Rip of Erebos is better than having Horizon Scholar in play. Now that our opponent has a 1/5, the Horizon Scholar looks even less exciting. We might get attacked by Sealock Monster next turn, so we want the Rip of Erebos in play. Definitely. So let's drop that. And then we'll have the ability... Oh, wow. Swan Song. I take that back. We won't have the Burnished Heart in play anytime soon. We need a new plan against the Sealock Monster then. I think our best play is to suit up the Wavecrash Triton with the Nimbus Naiad, and that way we are going to be able to tap the Sealock Monster for a couple of turns. I mean, if we draw something else, that's also nice, but this is a really easy way to go about things. And we can even do it. Can even do it again later. Well, we can do it again next turn. All right. So we can actually get some damage in here. It's theoretically possible to attack with Returned Phalanx, but that would just trade with Sedge Scorpion, so I'd rather keep the Phalanx around to block the Sealock Monster at some stage. Alright, the Fox is loose. Now, let's see, our opponent is on 13. We might have him dead pretty soon here. Viper's Kiss. No, that's not amazing. We can actually put it on Wavecrash Triton. That might be the best play. We are still on 9 mana, so we won't be able to cast both of these. Let's see. We have to count the black symbols. We have 3 black symbols, 4 if we play Viper's Kiss. So together with the Grey Merchant, that's 6. Our opponent is on 7, and we deal 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. But if we play the Viper's Kiss, then we deal one less. 5, 6, 7, 10, 12. Yeah, that's somehow not exactly lethal. So the Viper's Kiss on the Chimera would make sure that it can't chump block, but this just means that it's going to be able to chump block, but I'm going to allow it, and then we still kill the next turn, hopefully. And I'm still going to tap the Sealock Monster. It's the most scary card, although the Vulpine Goliath is also pretty nice on our opponent's side of the board. Yeah, maybe we should have put this on the... Maybe we should have tapped the Vulpine Goliath, because Sealock Monster is better to chump block. Opponent has a pretty difficult block here though. Chump blocking the Wavecrash Triton leaves him at 9, and we have air superiority. And we are still holding Viper's Kiss and Grey Merchant, and that should be enough to tap anything our opponent plays here. The only question is if we take the damage from Vulpine Goliath this turn. Let's see what happens. Almost looked like mana for a Grip Tide, but could also be something more expensive. Yeah, Arbo Colossus with Reach. It's also nice. Just going to take the damage from the Goliath this turn. Now we have to do the math again. But our opponent is on 9, so that should easily be enough. A Viper's Kiss on our own creature taps the Arbor Colossus. And then we attack for 8. Oh, we could have actually attacked for lethal if we animate the returned Phalanx and then attack with the Unicorn as well. But I was counting on the Grey Merchant to win this. Alright, we won the match. See you next round.